It's the Extremist movie debate, and tonight we're talking 2017's Wonder.
I'm Joe.
I'm Ethan. One of us is going to love it, one of us is going to hate it.
Let the coin decide their fate.
I hate it.
I love it. Hey guys, don't shake our hands and say we have the plague. There are spoilers ahead.
Okay, this movie currently holds an 80% on, or 86%.
We don't have the plague.
86% on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes it certified fresh. Who hated it?
Me.
All right, Ethan, since you hate this movie, this first question comes
Good luck,
to you.
pal.
Well, the reviews were pretty tame. This one comes from Joshua Rothkamp of Time Out. Rothkamp? Kopf?
Comf?
C-O-P-F? Kopf? Joshy says, bullies and frenemies don't get served so much as given quiet moments to confront their own mistakes. So, Ethan, how do you feel movies should handle, like, sort of bullying like this? Should it be very aggressive in, like, the bullies getting, you know, what they deserve? Or should it be more subtle and, like, an internal change to you? You have 1 minute.
I think it should be realistic. You know, I think the bullies should, you know, have Mandy Patinkin step in and solve everybody's problems because that's real life. And that's what happens in this movie. And the movie itself is very schmaltzy. It hits every note that you would expect. It's very emotionally manipulative. You're most likely going to cry while you're watching it. But it also did a really weird thing where it actually just spent most of the movie as it had a good allegorical power because, I mean, as you watch this movie, you understand that it's talking about these characters that we can relate to, and it's expressing them in a way that we also understand as the Congo crisis of 1960 to 1965.
God damn it.
Where we understand. You see that, you know, Congo was essentially just run by King Leopold II in Belgium for, you know, half a century, and so all of a sudden he gets to go for 5 years and try to be himself. He's going into 5th grade. And so we understand that as soon as he does this, there's all these sort of warring factions. You've got the Kwailu uprising that comes in right at the end. You've got the South Kasai, and everybody is just all these civil wars within itself.
Thanks, Ethan. Joe, you have 30 seconds to respond.
So Mandy Patinkin is the principal. So he steps in when there's like this overt,
like the
nasty
Be quiet,
bullying. And on top of that, the movie is using Wonder. They're using Augie is basically this like visual representation of people's scars. So everybody is like a fully formed human in this book or movie, and you see that through each section. So the bully is more than just a bully, and that's what I appreciate about this movie is it's going past the assumption. It's actually making us question our assumptions.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Ethan, you have 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, the bullies are almost like warring factions, and it's almost like the scars of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But I think the issue is that you come to understand, like, what's the point of that? Do they really need to go that far? Do you really gain much from it? I mean, ultimately, everybody associates Congo with just this really
Thanks,
awesome book by
Ethan.
Michael
Joe,
Crichton,
you have a final 15 to respond.
So no, I do think you have to go that far if I assume you're talking about showing people as fully formed human beings with it have many layers. And yes, I think you need to go that far because it actually asks us as an audience to question our own assumptions. It's challenging us as human beings, and that's what film and art
All right,
do.
thanks, Joe. And this question actually is for you. This comes from Rick Kissinak of 7daysvt.com.
Sounds like you got that one.
Well, yeah, because there's not... Okay. It's like trying to pronounce a hockey player's name. Rick says, particularly in this Trump-fueled age of moral repugnance, ugly tweets, and public mockery of people with disabilities, I embrace Pelocchio? Someone's name.
The guy who wrote the novel?
Yeah. How do you say that? I embrace the author's themes of kindness and understanding as passionately as anyone. It's using them as an excuse for schlock like this that I can't help but find grotesque. So my question to you is, you know, bullying has existed as long as humans have been around. Do you think we're going to see more movies about, you know, bullying now that we have a bully as a president? And how do you think we're going to handle it? You have 1 minute.
I think bullies have always existed, and I think kind of what this movie does to kind of shine the light on that is with the Julian character when he was the overt, like really vicious bully, and when you see him in Mandy Patinkin's office, and you find out that the mom is the one that's actually fueling all this bullying, and the mom is the cause of Julian being like a little piece of shit. Like you're seeing that from the parental standpoint. So I think that's the thing. It's just like it's this never-ending cycle. So like bullying begets bullying begets bullying. So I think this movie again is questioning us to see what is the root cause to these problems, and is there a way for us to get around that and to understand that? And through understanding, we can move it forward. I don't like the Trump comparison because Trump is just a sad, mean old man, and like, I understand that like he's too far gone. I think he's too far gone, so I don't like that. I don't like that comparison because I think these characters are not too far gone.
All right, thanks, Joe. Ethan, you have 30 seconds to respond.
There are always going to be bullies, just like Leopold II took over Congo and enslaved them for forestry and mining, and it still stands to this day. And then, of course, Julian represents the Simbas attacking, and so you understand that there are these warring factions. It's always going to be that way, and what ends this movie is that he gets a reward that doesn't really mean anything, and all of a sudden he's a person in and of himself, just like Mobutu is actually running what then becomes the Republic of Congo and Zaire until for like what, a decade or so. Like, it's important to understand that there are always going to be dictators, and you just got to be strong and true to yourself.
Thanks, Ethan. Joe, you have 15 seconds to respond.
I don't like that Ethan is comparing like school bullying to dictators. I mean, school bullying is serious, but like I'd say most of the time they're not killing like thousands of people.
100,000.
Ethan, I hate to do this, but you have a final 15 to respond.
Hey, they killed 100,000. I think that, you know, just like they're killing the demons within this
bullies.
movie.
Joe, be quiet.
Yeah, the bullies of the Congo, yes, they killed about 100,000 people, died during that conflict from 1960 to 1965, and many would say that conflict still lives on today.
Okay, Ethan, I have to cut you off there. I'm sorry. But I'm going to give you guys 4 minutes to discuss and go.
Which would make, why don't we actually just have that movie about that crisis? Why do we have to church it up and give this, you know, this white privileged movie about all these other people that just have, you know, scholarships and tuition given to them? Like, let's get into the nitty gritty. We don't need to sugarcoat all of these atrocities.
So this movie is not about the Congo. This movie is about...
I disagree. I think it's quite obvious. You've got all these different people having civil wars within each other. What is Villa versus Miranda if not just a civil war in a different area of the country?
If it's a civil war, then they would be part of the same family. They wouldn't just be friends.
They are friends. They are a family. Every photo you see, they're all family. She bought him the goddamn space helmet.
They would represent two countries if you want to get down to it.
They would not represent two countries. But if we do want to get down to it, yes, let's talk about the United States and the Soviets going into it. Let's talk about the United Nations wanting to kind of step out of it.
That would make more sense, but that's not what this movie is doing. This movie is trying to show us this very small human nature side of life, not a larger movie about Congo. Because
how is that not a human nature side of life? That happened, did it not?
You're looking at macro, and I'm looking at micro, and I think that's the problem.
I think the important thing is to approach life as the macro. I think the important thing is to understand that everything that can be small, and you can look at it as a small scale in this movie, can also be expanded to the macro. And you can also understand that the rules of this movie and its simpleton, stupid things can actually apply to the bigger picture of life.
This is the problem. Ethan doesn't understand human emotions. Ethan doesn't understand, like, why we feel things. So he has to try to, like, tie it to some fact-based event. And that way, his, like, mathematical, by-the-numbers brain can sort of compute it into this matrix-looking thing that he then sort of, like, converts into an image of something. But he doesn't
None of that
actually...
means I'm wrong.
He does not actually understand human emotion. And this movie is all about human emotion. So Ethan fundamentally cannot understand this movie.
Human action and reaction, all right? There's no real emotion in this.
This only backs up my claim that Ethan doesn't understand human emotion.
In the end, there's like 10 minutes left of this movie, and they're like, let's go to the woods and pee in the woods, and then all of a sudden these bullies from like where the red fern grows shows up, and I assume somebody's gonna fall onto a hatchet, and they come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden like, oh, it's a big threat, and then there's like some bad cutaways of some throwaway punches, and all of a sudden they're like, we're victorious. That is Mobutu all of a sudden becoming a dictator of the...
When Ethan held his newborn child, he just thought to himself, I wish I knew what this felt like, but all I know is 1 + 1 = 2.
Dude, I knew that kid was crying, and I had to problem solve the shit out of it.
Problem solve with numbers because he couldn't understand what was happening on an emotional level.
All right,
Thank you and good night.
All right, so what do you guys really feel about this movie?
It's a delight.
It is manipulative, like that.
I feel like it earns all of it.
It does. That's the thing. Like, I didn't cry. I almost did.
I didn't either.
I went with my. I
always do.
I went with super fan of the show, Emily, and she just bawled the whole thing. Couldn't stop herself. But no, it is manipulative, but like for good reason. And I enjoyed this movie. Like, some of the acting's a little flat. Like, there were some weird cuts. Like, the editing isn't great. Like, you'll get some moments where there's like a dialogue exchange, and then it just cuts to somebody's face where there's just like a phony smile, and then it's a cut. So it just seems like the editing's a little off. But the story itself, and I think the messaging behind it, which I wasn't expecting, I had no idea what I was getting into. So I think the message behind this movie is powerful and important, and I'm glad this movie exists.
I don't know if it's the editor or the director, because I felt the same about Perks of Being a Wallflower too,
Okay.
where it was, you take very good actors, you've got whatever her name
Logan
is.
Lerman.
Logan Lerman. I was
Emma
thinking
Watson.
of
Emma
Ezra
Watson.
Miller, Emma Watson. There it is. Not Hermione.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, like
Dylan
they're all
McDermott.
very, very good actors in that movie. Just it felt like a bunch of dialogue. Like it probably worked really well as a book, but it just felt so awkward and forced coming from all these characters until like the third act. And that's how I felt about this movie
But
too.
we
It's
talked-
like everyone's like, oh my god, every time there's a voiceover in this movie, like this is fucking cringeworthy. It's terrible. But like all the emotions of it are true. You understand where all the characters are coming from, and that speaks highly of the movie. It's just it's not really executed that well. Sorry, what?
Well, I was going to say, like, we argued about that, because I think we debated Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Did we?
No, we didn't.
No, we did.
No,
We
we
did.
didn't.
You weren't part of it. This was
Certainly
before
did
Jeff was
outside
part
of the
of
theater.
You guys didn't debate it.
We did.
I didn't.
And I think this is what we talked about when we debated it on that episode that we did with High School Musical 3. That was the episode.
That never happened.
so-
No, because that movie High School Musical 3
So the
came out
fir-
like
the fir-
7
the
years
first-
ago.
okay,
I
so the
saw
fir-
that at midnight.
the first act of Perks of Being a Wallflower seems really flat, and it seems like they're trying to make this like party like teenage movie, and then when in the third act when it gets really serious and like everything feels authentic, I think he had set it up to feel fake because all the characters were acting fake, like within
Sure.
the clicks.
Sure.
But Wonder sort of torpedoes that theory.
Yep. It does.
So maybe he was just bad at making the first like half of Perks of Being a Wallflower. But beyond that, like I did enjoy this movie. I would recommend watching it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, well then what would you guys rate the movie?
I would give it an 8 out of 10. A little bit of thunder. Thought about it here and there.
I'll give it a 7, but probably no thunder. I think the themes are very universal and should be watched and told, but yeah,
I mean, you don't get
a little bit of thunder, I guess.
you don't get movies often where you like humanize like the dicks. Like they're everything's like gray in this movie. There's no like good guy or bad guy. Except for Julian's mom.
Is that just because they're children, though?
Stop scratching yourself, Ethan.
Oh, sorry, dude.
What do you mean because they're children?
Is it just because they're too afraid to make the kids just dicks?
No, I don't think that's
Because
what
they
it
sure
is.
did it with Julian's mom.
They did do it with Julian's mom, but like Trump, she's too far gone. She's always gonna be a dick.
All right, well, where can we find us? Where can they
Facebook.
find us?
Instagram.
Twitter.
Oh, pants pending.
emg.panspending.com. artificialwood.panspending.com.
Gmail.
extremistmoviedebate@gmail.com. Apparently Joe forgot the password.
Almost Patreon.
No, I know the password.
All right, well, thank you.
Bye.